Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about humerus. The humerus is a long bone of the arm, and it is the longest bone of the upper limb. The humerus bone has a cylindrical middle portion called shaft, and two ends, upper and lower ends. Articulations. Superiorly, the head of the humerus articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula to form shoulder joint. Inferiorly, capitulum and trochlea articulates with the head of the radius and the olecranon process of the ulna to form elbow joint. Anatomical position and side determination of the humerus. The side of the humerus can be determined by holding the bone vertically in such a way that the upper end of the humerus bears a rounded head, which faces medially, backwards and upwards. The lower end is expanded from side to side and has coronoid fossa, medially, and radial fossa, laterally, on the anterior aspect of the lower end of the humerus. The lesser tubercle and vertical groove at the upper end of the humerus faces anteriorly. The olecranon fossa is present on the posterior aspect of the lower end of the humerus. Parts and features of the humerus. The upper end of the humerus bears head, anatomical neck, surgical neck, greater tubercle, lesser tubercle and intertubercular sulcus. Head of the humerus. Head of the humerus is rounded and directed medially, backwards and upwards. It articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula to form shoulder joint. Anatomical neck of the humerus. It is a line separating the head from the rest of the upper end is called as the anatomical neck. Surgical neck of the humerus. It is a narrow line separating the upper end of the humerus from the shaft. Greater tubercle. It is also known as greater tuberosity. The large bony prominence on the lateral aspect of the upper end of the humerus is called as greater tubercle. Lesser tubercle. It is also known as lesser tuberosity. The small eminence or elevation on the anterior aspect of the upper end of the humerus is called as lesser tubercle. Intertubercular sulcus. It is also known as bicipital groove. It is a vertical, longitudinal depression found on the anterolateral aspect of the upper end of the humerus. Shaft of the humerus. The shaft is the middle section of the bone, extending between the upper and lower end of the humerus. The shaft of the humerus is cylindrical in its upper half and flattened antero-posteriorly in the lower half. It has three borders, anterior, lateral and medial borders, and three surfaces, anterolateral, anteromedial and posterior surfaces. Borders. Anterior border. Anterior border starts from the lateral lip of the intertubercular sulcus, then extends down to the anterior margins of the deltoid tuberosity, and becomes smooth and rounded in the lower half, and ends in the radial fossa. Lateral border. Upper part of the lateral border is indistinct, while its lower part is prominent, where it forms the lateral supracondylar ridge. In the middle part, it is interrupted by the radial or spiral groove. Medial border. Medial border extends from the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus to the medial epicondyal. Its lower part is sharp and it is called as medial supracondylar ridge. Surfaces. Anterolateral surface. Lies between the anterior and lateral borders. Little above the middle, this surface presents a characteristic V-shaped tuberosity called deltoid tuberosity. Anteromedial surface. Anteromedial surface lies between the anterior and medial borders. Upper part of this surface form the flow of the intertubercular sulcus. Nutrient foramen is present at middle, near medial border. Posterior surface. Posterior surface lies between medial and lateral border. Radial or spiral groove is present behind deltoid tuberosity. It runs downwards and forwards across the surface.